Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Central Texas Football Podcast. I'm Kenny Heath, joined with Ryan Fox. Thank you all for joining us. We are brought to you by Jolie Godfrey at My Community Home Loans. We want to thank Jolie for being our title sponsor, and we want to thank Ranch Masters Real Estate and Reed Holiday Lighting for also being our sponsors. Ryan, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, Kenny. It's kind of a very heavy bye week across the state. I think reading online, I think they said about like 30% of all Texas high school football teams are off this week. I guess with a lot of the districts being 6-team districts, so you're playing 5 district games. So a lot of teams are taking that week 6 bye, and they'll play their district games week 7 through 11. So kind of a lighter week this week as far as the game spread goes, but still, in the top level there, a lot of good games this week.
Yeah, and last week, man, a bunch of upsets. We kind of a minor upset that we watched. Whitney was favored by a little bit, according to Dave
Mm.
Campbell's, and then you look at Winsboro getting just boat raced by Commerce, which was kind of
My
crazy,
goodness,
55-12 or what. And that I heard they had. I was listening to
yeah,
this instead. They had a running clock in the second half, so
yeah, it
really
was
surprised by that.
51-13. Which, yeah, I mean, Commerce is a good team. I think they were 3-1 going into that one, but still, I mean, Winsboro, they were unbeaten, number one team in the state, probably by far the favorite in Region Two. I mean, they got boat raced.
Yeah,
Now, Commerce is a team that's usually historically very athletic, but I mean, just I don't think on paper, at least, with how good Winsboro is, it didn't seem like they matched up very well. I think they would have pushed Winsboro a little bit, looking ahead of that matchup. But the fact that beating them by 38 is
yeah.
unbelievable. That's a huge win for Commerce. I know that's kind of outside our coverage area, but that was probably the biggest upset across the state of Texas with the number one team going down against an unranked Commerce team.
Yeah, and I think Commerce and Malakoff play this week, so that'll be interesting to see if they can
I
keep
believe
that
so.
a little hot streak going. But yeah, some other ones, nothing really local that I saw. Hamilton got beat by was it Goldthwaite? No, who
Uh,
beat San Saba?
Goldthwait lost to Chilton last
Yeah,
week.
San Saba, Hamilton. I kind of thought maybe Hamilton was a favorite there, but San Saba took care of business. Looks like Hamilton may be kind of down compared to where they were last year, but last year was a great year for them. Making it to the state semifinals. So you kind of figure they're going to lose a couple of games, but
Right.
and that leads to some good ones. We got a good district game we got coming up this week. We'll talk about Valley Mills Axtell. Kind of thought
Mm-hmm.
about going to that one and calling Craig Horn, Coach Craig, Horn, and saying, "Hey, man, I'll get on. Let me get on the sidelines," but I think I'm just going to stay back and just rest. Because our Friday nights are pretty busy this time of year anyway. So
Yeah, with Whitney being on bye this week, you and I won't have a game to call. So I think what I'm going to do is have that old fashioned 3-screen setup. I'll have a game on the TV, I'll have a game on my laptop, and I'll probably have a game on my phone as well. Try to have a nice week to enjoy Texas high school football as a fan this week.
yeah, and tomorrow night, and we're going to talk about it here in a little bit. We got a Lampasas Lorena, which is going to be a Thursday night game, and
Oh, that's going to be
I
great.
mean, you got to think Lorena's just on, or no, Lampasas is just on the cusp of being a top 10 4A D1, school. Pretty
Yeah.
decent little resume they got there, in the same district as Stephenville. So that's going to be a fun one to watch here in a couple of weeks when they tangle if everything kind of holds true.
Yeah, and Lampasas has a lot of great players with quarterback Bryson Roberts. They got like a tandem of running backs. Wesley Stevens. I can't remember the name of the other guy that they got, which the other guy is actually their leading rusher, but Stevens has more rushing touchdowns. But that's a game we'll preview later on. Yeah, Lampasas 5-0. It kind of looks like they're rounding back up into form to what we saw back in 2019 with guys like Ace Whitehead and company when they were like really good. I think they made it to like the region final or maybe even the
Yeah,
state semifinal that year. Um, I can't remember if they won or lost this game 6 years ago. I was in high school at the time, but I remember they had that crazy shootout against I think it was Corpus Christi Miller. I think in the playoffs. I don't
uh,
know.
I
That's kind of a
remember
throwback.
either that one or was it Needville? And I
It could
thought
it could have been
is
both.
Needville. I
Honestly,
don't know. That name just pops up. I don't know what they're classified, but I remember watching that game, and Lampasas won it. But I thought, as far as an offense running that RPO, that
hmm
Needville team was excellent because that quarterback
Yeah,
would pull the ball and he would hit a slant or something. And I think it was the Blue Jays. I don't know if
yeah.
Needville's.
Needville is the Blue Jays.
Okay,
Yes.
so I think that's, and I may be totally wrong, but I think, and I remember being up in we hunt deer hunt in Oklahoma and
Uh
watching
huh.
that on our TV outside and thinking, man, that it was a great game at that quarterback and those skill kids and the offensive line too for Needville. If that was a team, really ran that offense to perfection, man. It was fun to watch.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and let's start things up here as we always do with our Matt Step question of the week. And the question to Mr. Step this week was let's take a look at Class 4A Division II, District 12. How do you see this one shaking out now that district play is soon to begin? Is La Vega a title contender? Can Robinson unseat La Vega as the district champion? And Matt Stepp's answer was, I think La Vega is a regional threat for sure, but I saw them in person last week and it wasn't good against Stephenville. Granted, that is a top 5A Division One team, and the Pirates have some injuries, but man, that wasn't pretty. So I'm not sure that this is a state title team, but they are still the team to beat in District 12 4A Division Two with Robinson. With that offense on any given night can beat anyone, though. So the Rockets are definitely dangerous. I also really like I really like the start that Gatesville has gotten off to this season as well. So thanks again to Matt Stepp as always for the Matt Stepp question of the week. And again, Kenny, we've talked about this all season, and heavily so in our preview show earlier this year. Uh, it's one of the most exciting districts in 4A Division Two. Now, I think went into this season with La Vega being probably the outright favorite, probably with Robinson being the team that would push them the most with that quarterback Bryce McCurdy and that outstanding offense that they have, which we saw firsthand when they scrimmaged Whitney as well.
Mhm.
And then Gatesville again, and just like Matt Stepp said, they've had a fantastic start. This district is kind of shaping up to be a lot closer than we initially thought.
Yeah, and I think you can, like he said, pencil in La Vega and Robinson, kind of or they're going to make the playoffs.
Right,
And Gatesville's played some decent teams. They beat Glen Rose, and Glen Rose proven to be a little better than we thought they were after the
right.
first
They've gotten better each
games.
week.
Yeah, but yeah, Gatesville looks like they're definitely a contender. It's going to be fun to see how Lorena. We know Lorena can go win big games on the road. They went and beat Malakoff.
Yep,
China Spring, they beat who they beat? Franklin. So
yep.
they can. They're kind of on a losing streak now, but they can win the big game. And then Conley really hasn't proven that they can go out and do what they need to do. Now there have been some injuries, I think, in the Grandview game. Jamari Vincent only played a handful of snaps, so uh, it's going to be interesting. But I would say I kind of agree with him. If you had to bet, I would say La Vega, Robinson, and Gatesville are going to make the playoffs, and there's three probably pretty good teams vying for that fourth spot, and two decent teams are going to be left at home.
Yeah, I mean, just names alone in this district. I mean, we're mentioning those top three teams, but there's also Connolly and China's, and again, like you said, China Spring. I mean, I think you're right. I think the top two playoff spots could very well be a lock with La Vega and Robinson. Heck, maybe even Gatesville could overtake Robinson for that second spot. But I mean, really, still just this early on, like right before district play starts, you could make a great argument for any of those five teams under La Vega to they could all be seated at anywhere in those 2 through 4 spots.
Yep, it's going to be fun to see how it shakes out, and it'll get started next week, I guess. District play will get
Yeah,
started next week. And
Lorena, I think Lorena's the only team in District 12 that's playing this
yeah,
week. They'll have their bye, or they already had their bye. It appears earlier. Yeah, they had their bye last week on the last Friday on the 26th. And I think so. The rest of the district will be off, so they'll have their a game that we'll preview here in a little bit. They'll have their last pre-district game at home against Lampasas, like you said, on Thursday night on the second, and then they'll jump right into district play after that. And they're going to start with Robinson. So if they're going to try to get a playoff spot or a higher up, or even with their again, every team's goal going into district play is to win the district. If they can beat Robinson at the gate, that sets them up pretty well. and if they can take care of business the rest of the way, they close the regular season at La Vega.
Okay.
So I
Nice.
think getting a win at Robinson to start district play could set them up very nicely. But again, it is a gauntlet of a district to go through. Like Central Texas Powers, like we mentioned, Robinson, Gatesville, Connolly, China Spring, and La Vega. It's just kind of a district a district of doom as far as Central Texas is concerned.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out, and we'll have a front row seat getting to watch it.
All right. So we will start with our Week 5 review. We will start a game that, probably was a little bit closer than I expected. Bremond defeated Mart 28-20. The result we kind of expected, but Mart kind of kept it close. Mart, again, only has one win on the year. They fell to 1-3. Again, those two of those losses, they're punching up 3 classifications, so you can't really blame them much there because depth becomes an issue at that point. But again, only 8-point loss to Bremond, and then, and again, we'll talk about here in just a minute in our preview section. They'll, after coming off Bremond, they'll be going right back to take on Chilton. So now they're going to be fighting for that, probably for that number 2 playoff spot out of the district at that point. But again, was this game a little bit closer than you thought, Kenny, with the 28-20 final?
Yeah, I think absolutely because Bremont led 6-0 at the half, and then Mart took the lead in the second half, and then I think it was 28-14 there, and Mart scored late to kind of make it a one score game. But
right,
you know, Tank Scott's just an animal. He's a barb, a bad A running back. 27 carries for 342 yards and 4 touchdowns, and that's basically all their offense. They only threw Sam Kowalski threw for 28 yards, 2 of 5 attempts. Actually, didn't really need to throw if Tank Scott's running like that. So, be interesting. If Bremond, through 3 or 4 rounds in the playoffs, they tangle with somebody that's got a really good run defense. Maybe force them to throw the ball a little bit. But kudos to Mart for hanging in there. That's a state ranked Bremond team. They got a state ranked Chilton team coming up this week. Looks like I think we both had all the confidence in the world that Coach Lancaster would get it turned around and they were going to be competitive. So probably a little bit quicker than maybe we thought. With just an 8-point loss to a top 5 team.
100%. And then another game that you and I kind of had our eyes on throughout the night because this game was being played about 15, 20 minutes from the booth you and I were sitting at Academy. How about this final? Troy 46, Maypearl 45. An absolute shootout. When I checked the score at one point, Troy was leading 27-17. So I guess I didn't see a box score. I didn't see how the scoring played out, but it seemed like Maypearl stormed back. I don't know if they took the lead or they just tied it or whatever the case may be. Because I think this game went into overtime. I could be completely wrong. But 46-45, a shootout and a close win for Troy at home.
Yeah, I tried to find a box, a write up or a box score, and I did see Troy's stat and their great running back Jaden Lucky. He was 31 carries for 168 yards and 4 touchdowns and 2 receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown. So he's a great player. I'd like to see the Maypearl kids, and I know they got that running back R.J. Washington, so I'm sure he probably had something to do with their scoring. But yeah, and I think maybe in the second half it was maybe like a 3-score lead that Troy had. I kind of just said, okay, well that game's over, and you go back when we get home, start looking through the scores or listening to them. There's I think 1660 does a scoreboard on that.
Yes, they do.
The last two Fridays on the way home, and they
Paired
do
on that a couple times.
that. Yeah, and so yeah, pretty competitive game, and I think that district. What is that district? 12? Are they 12 or?
Are you talking about Troy's district?
Troy's district, yeah.
Yeah, let me double check. I know because I know Maypearl's in District 5 with Whitney, West, Grandview, and all those guys. I'm trying to see.
So there was 3 matchups between District 5 and that district, and they swept the District 5 because Academy beat Whitney, which was Academy was really impressive. The running back Grissom is a stud. The quarterback's fast. Then Cameron Yo beat Mahia. Who did Yo beat? I think Cameron Yo beat Mahia. So
you're right.
Those 3 games.
Trying to find the district with Troy. I think you're right. It might be District 12 and 3 Division 1 because
I
that's
know
the
they're in
district.
Region 3, so it may be 11.
Okay, because that is it's the district. That's the district with Troy, Rockdale, Cameron Yo, McGregor in that district as well.
Yeah,
I believe. Oh,
everybody's
I think
going.
you're right. I think it is District 11. It's one of those districts that they're probably all on bye this week because district play starts next week. Because I believe that's only a 6-team district, so they probably all out this week. But I believe you're right. I think it is either District 11 or 12. But regardless, we'll move into our final game of the Week 5 review, a game that was played last Thursday night out in Longview as Grandview defeated Spring Hill High School 63-55. A kind of a result I didn't expect as well. And at Grandview, again, we've talked about it all season long. They've been punching up and playing a really tough pre-district schedule. And Spring Hill's usually a pretty solid 4A team. I think they run one of those old school run heavy offenses.
Yeah, I
Uh,
watched most of this game, and it's like a slot T or
yeah,
whatever, whatever you
yeah,
want to
one of
call
the
it.
wishbone, something like that.
Yeah, they were up. I mean, that was another game where I think they were up 2 or 3 scores kind of late. And you thought, well, that's really surprising. But Grandview stormed back, and there at the end, they were just trading touchdowns back and forth. And Blue Hubbard kind of took over. And, he was just that fourth quarter, he was just hard to stop, man. And as a late comeback by the Zebras, and Cason Sanders, a really good wide receiver, he did not play. He was in a sling, shoulder sling, and I think the people that I talked to over there, they're not real worried about it with
Right.
high coming up, and maybe it's more of a precautionary thing. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, you really thought Grandview. I think last year they went in there and handled them pretty well, pretty easily, and you thought they would do
Yeah.
the same, but. Kudos to Spring Hill for putting up a battle. And it's just kind of weird when you don't see those type of offenses every day. And I've been told you really got to do your job. Even if the
Mm-hmm.
ball, you got to take your guy on, even if the ball's going away, because you never know all that misdirection stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, pretty cool. High scoring. I got to watch most of it, so it was fun. Uh, I forgot who does the call over there for Grandview, but
Brad Allred, I
yeah,
believe.
you can go to their Facebook page, and I just
Mm-hmm.
shared it on my TV and sat there and hung out and watched it. So fun game
Also,
to watch.
yeah, also does play-by-play for the Cleveland Railroaders, that
Oh
minor
yeah,
league.
yep, that's right.
Or I guess they're independent now. No, they're not independent because that league was bought out by MLB, so it's a partner league. But regardless, we will move on to our Week 6 preview. Again, like we mentioned at the top of the show, kind of a lighter week because, again, I believe about 30% of the state is out on bye this week because a lot of the districts across the state of Texas are 6-team districts.
Yeah,
So they're trying to get that buy-in before district play starts. So we will start with a game we slightly mentioned earlier at the top of the show. 4-0 Chilton on the road at 1-3 Mart. Chilton coming off a 14-0 shutout victory in their district opener against Goldthwaite, 14-0. And again, like we just mentioned in the review, Mart fell to Bremond in their district opener, 28-20. Again, Chilton, really good offensively. They got a really good dual threat quarterback in Marnico Thomas Jr. A couple good running backs, including Xavier Taylor. He's got 6 touchdowns on the year, and a couple great players on defense. Nathan Webker, 15 tackles, 2 interceptions, and then the defensive lineman Victor Torres. He has a couple sacks and 12 tackles on the season for Chilton. Again, Mart, like we talked about, I think we talked about it a little bit in the season preview as well when we were looking ahead to the district plays. Mart starting their district with probably the 2 top teams in this district with Bremond and Chilton.
oh yeah,
They narrowly lost to Bremond last week, but a chance to bounce back and try to give Chilton their first loss of the season.
yeah. Great story by our buddy Michael Haig at the Waco Trib about Minerco Thomas Jr. He was at Killeen last year, and he's a really good basketball player. He was on that squad that I believe went to the state tournament. His dad got a job at Chilton, and he wanted, he thought it'd be cool to go play for his dad, play football, and his dad's on the coaching staff at Chilton. So
Mm-hmm.
cool story about him coming over, and they put him in at quarterback, and he's done phenomenal. Had a
Yeah.
great game against Goldthwaite. Yeah, and still haven't heard from Decorian Evans if he's. I don't. That's just kind of touchy. I know Michael Hague said that he confirmed from Coach Hewitt that he is on the squad. He's on the
Mhm.
roster. So maybe just still rehabbing that knee. Those things. I don't
Probably
know if
so.
they're all the same or whatever. I don't want to say but whatever the injury is, still
Mhm.
rehabbing. Yeah, Mark. I think this is going to be a low scoring game.
Right.
Chilton they beat everybody soundly, but they haven't scored just a ton of points.
Yeah. Yeah.
DeQuinn, DeQuinn Preston, the running back at Mart. Elijah Johnson, I think last week had a good game. I think they got him. I think he was at quarterback a little bit last
Okay.
week. He threw for a bunch of yards. Uh, Maybe on my review. Yeah, well, he's 251 for 2 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks, but
Hmm.
got him back. Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. Probably Chilton has just enough to edge Mart, but if Mart won that game, just based off the way they played against Bremont, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think for Mart, if they want to win this game, they probably have to keep it low scoring and try to limit Chilton's offense, which again hasn't been putting up like crazy numbers. They're not scoring 60 points a game,
Yeah.
but again, I think for Mart to win this game, they're probably gonna have to make it a dogfight and keep it in the trenches. Try to limit because with Marnico Thomas, he's the quarterback, but he's their primary rusher as
Yep.
well. I think he only has like 250 yards through the air and has almost 600 on the ground. So I mean, he's their bell cow at quarterback. He's their leading passer and rusher, so they're going to rely on him very heavily. So honestly, if Mark can slow down Marnico Thomas, then they got a really good chance. That's going to be the toughest thing for the Smart defense to try and do. Might be the single toughest player they've had. They're going to have the chance to try to stop all season long up to this point. But yeah, I think for Mart to pull this one out, I think they're going to have to keep it low scoring and probably try to win like a 21-17, 21-14 type game. But I think Chilton stays unbeaten on the road with this one as well. Now we'll move on to the next game of our Week 6 preview, and this might be the game of the week in Central Texas. Although it's the one after this might is pretty good too. We have 4-1 Valley Mills at 4-1 Axtell. Both teams coming off shutout victories to open district play. Valley Mills defeating Italy 38-0. Axtell defeating Dawson 44-0. What do you see in this one, Kenny?
Man, I was at this game last year, and it was a pretty high scoring game.
It's probably your favorite game. These are two of your favorite teams in
Yeah,
Central Texas, probably. Yeah.
my Homer 2A teams. Yeah, and it was a back and forth game, and then Axel finally pulled away there late.
Hmm.
The big running back Jay Sean Johnson got a little bit tired. They fed him the ball a lot. I thought they had a great idea. Whenever Axel would score, they would just kick the ball straight to him and just
Hmm.
let him take some extra pounding and tee off on him kind of. But he's a really good running back. They're going to feed him the ball. What he carry it last week? Let me look at my sheet. I don't think I may not have. Yeah, 243 yards and 5 touchdowns last week. So
Yeah.
they're going to feed him the ball. I think they've got the new quarterback. They've got some veteran receivers back. I think they returned most of their offensive line. And if you look at Axtell, with Levi Leathers, Ethan
Hmm.
Porter, AJ Fetch, those guys have really stepped up because they lost Tyson Michelle, Troy Arlett, and of course Colton Horn, who was all world as a 2A player. He played running back, wide receiver, quarterback when Levi was hurt last year. Uh, I think I read an article. Coach Horn was like, "Okay, it just depends on if we can stop their run and if we can keep Levi Leathers clean. If we give him time to
Right.
throw the ball, I think we'll be fine. But if we cannot stop, Jay Sean Johnson, then we're gonna have to outscore him. And I think I don't know that you're going to stop him. I think he's going to get his yards.
Yeah.
And but I just think this Axtell offense, I think they found another gear. With what they did to Crawford, who wasn't allowing hardly any points. Their first
Hmm.
4 games or 3 games of the year, and Axtell goes and hangs over 30 on them. So I'm going to go with Axtell in this one. I think it's going to be kind of like last year. They're probably going to trade some punches throughout the first half and maybe a little bit the third quarter. Then I think Axtell starts to pull away there at the end.
Yeah, I'm going to take Axtell on this one too at home. I like the matchup with this one, though. I think I'm with you. I think it's going to be a very high scoring affair. It could be one of those deals where the last team with the football wins the game. But I'll take Axtell at home in this one
And I
as
think
well.
Axel does. I think they do broadcast their game on NFHS. So
Okay.
if you
It's
have,
definitely it'll definitely be on one of my three
yeah,
screens. There's no doubt about that.
probably
It'll
be on my big
really
one.
fun to want to watch. And another one that will probably also take up my one of my screens. Kind of our big school game of the week here on
Yeah,
the
our
Central Texas Football Podcast.
first big school one that we've done this year.
4-1 Midway at 5-0 Shoemaker. Now Midway suffered their first loss of the season last week in the district opener against a really good Harker Heights team, 24-21. And Shoemaker, kind of coming out of nowhere this year, handed Temple their first loss of the
I think
2025
that was like
season.
a last second field goal. I believe
Mhm.
maybe not. I don't know if it was a walk off, but I think they kicked the field goal late to win that one.
Yeah,
So
they did win 31-28, and I think you're right as well. Like both teams coming off very emotional, 3-point district openers. Midway being on the short side of theirs, and Shoemaker again handing Temple their first loss of the season. And both these teams are really good offensively. And I think the biggest matchup to look up here, at least on the offensive side of the ball, is this quarterback battle. This might be one of the top quarterback battles, not just in Central Texas, but across the state of Texas. Quarterback Andrew McNair for Midway, almost
mhm.
1,300 total yards, 10 touchdowns. And then on the other side for Shoemaker, another kid that's kind of come out of nowhere, their quarterback, Damani Dale Addison, he has 1,200 total yards and 11 total touchdowns himself through their first 5 games. I think this game is going to be a fantastic matchup offensively. I'm not sure if it'll necessarily be a shootout or anything because I think both defenses have been not shut down, but pretty solid throughout the year. I think these teams match up very, very well on the field, and I think it'll come down to the quarterback battle because, I mean, it is a really good battle. Again, even for Midway, they got a solid running game as well. And then Shoemaker's a team that's going to sling it around a lot. They throw it around a lot with Damani. And then on the other side, I think Midway's a little bit more two dimensional. Now I think like Shoemaker, they're kind of a pass first offense with Andrew McNair, but they got two running backs that have combined for 17 touchdowns. Lathan Wisington and the other running back, Jaden Fields. They've combined for over 1,100 yards and 17 touchdowns on their own. And for Midway, they have four, not one, not two, not three, but four different receivers that each have at least 200 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. So a lot of weapons for this Midway team. This might be the most fun matchup of the week. Of my 3 screens that I'll have going this week, Midway versus Shoemaker might have to be the one that takes the TV.
Well, I agree with you, and I got to watch the Shoemaker team play University High on a Thursday night game
Yes.
a couple of weeks ago, and I agree. Midway's got a pair of really good running backs. Both of them got offers. I think Jaden
Yep.
Fields Vaughn just got an offer this year. He's kind of been playing some cleanup role behind Wizen. Is it Wizenhunt? Yeah, behind Lathan Wizenhunt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's got several offers. The quarterbacks are great. But Shoemaker's got a pair of running backs of their own, and
Yep.
Brandon Brown and Willie Thomas.
Yep.
But the dude is wide receiver Jamal Polite.
Yes.
Here. I saw him make some amazing catches against University. It was cool seeing him and London Smith kind of both show out on what they can do. He's electric, man. He's a playmaker. He's got a couple of D1 offers. I think this is going to be another game like they had last week. Midway lost by what I think Midway and Temple both lost by last second scores. So late in the game, and I think this was going to be the same. It's just going to come down to the wire.
Yes.
If I think if Lathan Wizenhunt can get his yards, I think last week he got held to under 100 yards last week. And Jaden Fields Vaughn, they're really high on that guy. Bryce Cherry covers all their Midway games, and he talks a lot highly about both these guys. But I think the key is Jamal Polite Jr. Man, that kid is something different, and I'm going to go with Shoemaker in this one.
I like Shoemaker in this one as well. Jamal Polite Jr., like you mentioned, 23 catches for 608 yards and 7 touchdowns. he averages 26.4 yards per reception.
I don't know how he
So,
doesn't have more offers. That kid is. I don't know how big he is. He may be
what
undersized.
grade is he? Is he a senior this year?
I don't know. I don't know. But I just
Now
remember seeing
let's check
that
that.
game. I thought
But
that
th-
kid is something else.
this would be another good opportunity for him against Midway to show out, put some numbers, and get more eyes on him at the collegiate level because he all around he might be the most explosive player in this football game.
Yeah, he's something
And
else.
yeah, he's a fantastic player. I think this. I think you're right. I think this is going to go down to the wire. I'm going to take Shoemaker in this one as well, but I will not be surprised if Midway goes into Killeen and gets a W to get their first district win of the season. And finally, another game we touched on a little bit at the top of the show to round out our Week 6 preview. 5-0 Lampasas at 2-2 Lorena. This is the pre-district finale for both of these teams. Lampasas defeated Waco University last week, 35-21 in Lampasas, and Lorena defeated Cameron Yo at home last week, a 3 Division One foe, 42-13. What do you see in this one, Kenny?
Well, Lorena, obviously, Lorena's coming in as an underdog.
Right.
It's, Land Passes is bigger, but I think if you're Lorena, if you want to be who you want to be, like if you want to compete with the La Vegas and the Robinsons, you're gonna have to go into this game and be competitive with Land Passes. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't really believe in moral victories if you go in there and you get beat by 10, but you want to go in there and play well, and you want to have a shot to win, maybe late. But they've got a three-headed monster with Jackson Blancett, Carson Miller, and Brody DeLeon that are just stats,
Mm-hmm.
all these
Yep.
rushing yards and passing yards. Blancett's a dual threat guy. He can tuck it
Yep.
and go. He stays really calm and cool and collective in the pocket. He reminds me of Case Evans, the way you don't
Yep.
know if you just do an interception or an 80-yard bomb. It's the same thing. He's just really
Mm-hmm.
methodical. Let's go play. Uh, DeLeon's a little dude. He's really quick. They also have a highly, a sophomore tight end. What was his name? Sloan Blackwell, whose brother I think is at Baylor.
Yes.
So he's getting recruited. He's a threat. He's really good on defense too. He's kind of a two-way threat. And you look at Lampasas, really senior heavy for the most part on their skill kids. They went 10-3 last year. They're in the same district with Stephenville. They played Stephenville close last year. Only got beat by 11 points, which I think is the moral victories we were talking about. That's kind of a
Right.
moral victory, even though I don't believe in them. And they've got a really good quarterback that you talked about, Bryson Rogers. He's a dual threat guy. He's thrown for over 1,000 yards, rushed for 200 or 300 yards. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a fun game. I just don't think Lorena has enough to hang with Lampasas, but I think Lampasas is just knocking on the door to becoming a top 10 team here pretty quick.
Yeah. Aside from their victory last week against Cameron Yo, where they gave up 13 points, Lorena has kind of struggled defensively. They gave up 55 in week 1 against Austin Regents. They gave up 35 on the road to Malakoff in week 2, although they scored 38 to win that game. Still gave up 35. It gave up 63 to Franklin back in week 3. Well, I guess they're coming off the bye, so the Cameron Yo game was 2 weeks ago. But yeah, aside from that Yo game, which Yo's down from where they've been, the last few years, down to where their standards are in that program. Aside from that, they've given up a lot of points. This Lampasas team on the other side scores a lot of points in their first 5 games. They put up 52, 43, and they had a close game against Chaparral in week 3, 13-12. Then they scored 31 against Wimberley and then 35 last week against University. So this is a team that can score. There's no doubt about that. I think just with how inconsistent and kind of struggling overall Lorena's defense has been, I don't think they have many answers to the players that Lampasas has. Like you mentioned, quarterback Bryson Roberts, 1,200 total yards and 13 touchdowns. Running back Wesley Stevens, he's got 400 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. And not to mention just all the weapons they have out wide for Bryson Roberts to throw to as well. I think Lampasas will be too much for Lorena's defense. I think Lorena will put up some points against Lampasas. Again, they got the weapons they're going to score points every game. That's just the defense is the primary concern for me when it comes to the Leopards. I'll take Lampasas in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Lorena's got enough, but hopefully they get out there and they compete and get ready for district.
Absolutely, it'll be a good test because again, it's one of those deals where, I think like most good coaches, they love to schedule a tough pre-district schedule because that kind of prepares you. You played all these really good teams, and when district rolls around, you're kind of at a point where you've seen better teams more than likely than you'll see in your district. So, I think Lorena, if they can keep it respectable, score a lot of points, and maybe get a couple stops, I think it'll set them up very well mentally going into district play. But I think Lampasas will be too much for them.
Well, let's do some rapid fire real quick. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Georgetown at Killeen Chaparral.
Give me Chaparral on that one. I'll go local.
How about Ruston, Louisiana? They're meeting, I think, in Longview at Lobo against Stephenville at Lobo Stadium.
Man, Stephenville, they looked really good, man, especially on defense. They got
I
a lot
believe
of weapons.
Ruston beat them last year.
Yeah, they did. Did they play on a neutral site last year as well?
I think so. I think it says Lobo. I'm pretty sure that's probably Longview.
Stephenville's looked really good. They're unbeaten. Again, I don't know much about Ruston, Louisiana, but what I do know is that Stephenville has a damn good defense. They gave up 28 last week against La Vega, but aside from that, they hadn't given up any more than 13 in a game. I like Stephenville to get a bounce back win, get an out of state victory.
All right, Lake Belton at Georgetown Eastview.
Don't know much about the Eastview Patriots. I know they weren't very competitive whenever I was, in high school and really keeping up with, because in high school, whenever I was playing, I was keeping up with the whole state pretty much. I was infatuated. But I'll take who's Eastview playing again? I don't know
Lake Belton.
Lake Belton.
Yeah.
I think Lake Belton's a little down from what they've been. I'm gonna take Eastview on that one. I'll go out of our coverage.
All right, Bremont at Wortham.
Bremont heavy on that one.
Dawson at Bosqueville.
Ooh, I like Bosqueville on that one.
Yeah, Dawson I think's down.
Yeah.
Bryan at Coppers Cove.
Brown at Coppers Cove. Don't know much. I haven't seen much about these two teams this year. I'll take the Cove at home. I'll take the DAWGS.
All right, let's go 0-4 Dallas-inspired Vision Eagles versus the 0-5 Blooming Grove Lions.
I like Blooming Grove to get their first win of the year on that one.
All right, Killeen at Killeen Harker Heights.
Harker Heights.
Hubbard at Goldthwaite.
Goldthwaite will be angry after that the district opening loss to Chilton. I think they'll take out their frustrations on Hubbard.
All right, Rio Vista at Italy.
Ooh, that'll be a good game. Give me Rio Vista in that one though.
Frost Polar Bears at the Meridian Yellow Jackets.
Ooh, that'll be a close one, man. That bottom part of that district's bad. I like Frost in that one on the road.
Yeah, Lexington at Caldwell.
Lexington, I think they're punching up there a little. Or is Caldwell still a 4A team, or have they dropped?
They're 4A D2.
Okay, I like Lexington though. Case Evans is the man.
Salado at Geronimo Navarro.
Navarro's down from where they've been. I like Salado in that one.
Rogers at Columbus.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Columbus. Rogers. I didn't see what they did last week. Because they lost to Whitney in week 4.
They won. It wasn't very competitive.
They got a nice bounce back win against Centerville.
Yeah.
This is their pre-district. This is their pre-district finale. They'll start district on the 10th against Blanco. I like Columbus at home.
All right, last one. Malakoff at Commerce.
This is going to be a really good, sneaky good game. Probably one of the top games in more of that East Texas part of the state.
Yeah, I'll probably have that one pulled up just to see what Commerce does for a while.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The thing with that one, when you're coming off a huge victory like that against the number one team, and like, are you kind of, I hate to use this word, but are you kind of drunk on that victory, or are you will it carry over? Will you get overconfident? That's probably one of the toughest things to do as a coach when you get a big victory like that, especially against the number one team in your classification. Are you able to keep your kids' heads focused and be like, okay, hey, yeah, that's a big win, but we got to get back to business here. Because Malakoff isn't going to be no walkover. They're always going to be Malakoff. Honestly, I I like Malakoff. I like Malakoff to
Yeah,
get the
I
win on
think.
that one. But Commerce, we'll just have to see. I think, again, a huge win. 38 points over Winsboro, the number one team in the state. Definitely the favorite in Region 2. But in these situations, more times than not, I've seen teams coming off like a big win against the number one ranked team kind of let their heads get to them. Like, I'm not saying that the kids at Commerce, that's a tendency or something. I think just as teenagers in general, that's something that they could tend to do. I'll take Malakoff in that one.
Yeah, I think I'll take Malakoff too. All right, man. Enjoyed it. Once again, thank you to Jolie Godfrey, our title sponsor at My Community Loans. Jolie can get you a home loan. She can get you a refinance. She can get you a cash out, HELOs, whatever you need. Find her on Facebook, Jolie Godfrey, Godfrey. And thank you to Ranch Masters Real Estate and Reed Holiday Lighting.
And thank you to Matt Stepp for the
Yes.
question of the week. Thanks to Terry and Brent, everyone at L4 Media. And thank you guys for listening to our show. I enjoyed it as always with you, Kenny.
Yep. We'll see you.